Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to another YouTube video. This is my second week of comp prep. I'm 12 weeks out at the start of this video, 11 weeks out at the end of this video. I get really excited about any time I'm in a comp prep because it's something very specific to chase, especially when you're lifting. If you're good at lifting, if you're on a program, if you're serious about your lifting, you're doing the same things over and over again. And it can be monotonous if you don't have any specific goals that you're chasing. So I go through seasons where maybe I'm not focused on a competition prep. My last season was in pregnancy, trying to maintain my strength during pregnancy and have a really good labor, positive delivery experience, and obviously have a healthy baby. Sometimes I go through phases where I want to be more of a hybrid athlete, where I want to focus on swimming or running with my lifting, or where I want to focus on bodybuilding, more aesthetic changes. But I love being in comp prep because even though you're in that boring over and over again, it's really exciting to see what you're going to get to at the end of a peak. Because right now specifically, I have no idea where I'm going to be at the end of this peak. I'm trying to keep a really open mind. I'm not chasing my all-time strength just yet. I definitely want to hit a deadlift PR at this meet. My squat and bench I want to get to as close as possible to where I was. I want to be realistic with myself, but I also want to not hold myself back. So getting into my talk on why training should be boring. And I'm also going to overlay some of my videos from this last week of training and talk about some of the changes that I'm making during this season of competition prep work. I don't think it's boring, but that's why you have to have specific goals that keep you going and keep you excited about your training. Because if you're just going into the gym, doing the same thing over and over again, especially if you're not on a program, you're probably going to be like, this is boring. You're probably gonna have seasons where you just stop doing it. For me, that's like with my cardio, with running, with swimming. I go through seasons where I'm like, I'm gonna swim. I was a swimmer all through my adolescence. I was a runner all through my adolescence. Right now I'm in a running phase on top of my powerlifting phase where I'll run when I feel the urge. When it's raining outside, I go on a run because I feel like I should run. It feels like a more just relaxing vibe. It feels like something that would be fun versus if it's scorching hot outside, or even if it's just mild weather. For some reason, I just don't want to run. If it's really hot outside, I get the urge to swim. But with those things, it's like, those are trendy type of things. Those are like seasonal. That's just, am I in the mood to do it? Yes or no. I'm not on a program. I'm just doing it because I feel like I'm doing it. But with lifting, I'm on a very structured, regimented program where I'm doing the same thing week after week. But it doesn't get boring to me. Even though I'm doing the same things, generally the same exercises. Sometimes at the end of a training block, you change out some of those accessory movements, but overall, you're still doing the squat, you're still doing the bench, you're still doing the deadlift. But why do I find that so exciting? Why is that the most exciting thing in my day sometimes? I mean, aside from my daughter who's currently taking a nap, that is definitely the most exciting thing of my day now. But why is it so exciting? It's because I'm chasing goals. Even if it's just 5 pounds of squat progress in an entire year, how is that so exciting to me? I do not know. I don't know, especially when I'm not built for the squat. But I find enjoyment and I find excitement in it. And I think you should too, even if that's not in lifting, even if it's in something else. You need to find some ways to set a goal and turn something that could be boring into something that could be exciting. Anyways, breaking it down step by step, starting with the squat. Currently, I am working on my depth. I'm hovering around, is my depth competition legal right now? Just being honest with myself. In my entire pregnancy, I squatted heavy weights all the way up until the end, being mindful, of course, of not going to all out RPE 10 exertion levels. But throughout my pregnancy, I widened my squat stance so that I could comfortably hit depth with a huge pregnant belly. And obviously that wasn't my priority to be like, let me hit a competition legal squat depth. But I was hitting depth, but it was starting to creep up higher and higher. And then when you have your postpartum experience, you're not able to squat under a barbell. I was squatting body weight at first. I didn't get on my powerlifting program until 5 weeks postpartum. And then I got back to squatting. Of course, I was squatting like how I was at 9 months pregnant, even though I was 5 weeks postpartum. And now my depth is at the point where it's like, is it legal? Am I gonna get railroaded? I don't know. So now I'm being honest with myself. I'm trying to dial back a little bit and I'm trying to make sure that I can sink my squats all the way. And now that my stance is more narrow, I'm also trying to make sure that I can keep my knees in line with my toes more and make sure I'm not having any internal rotation. So I'm working on some cues with my squat to make it to where it's in a good spot for competition day, making sure that I'm not gonna be getting red lighted. And specifically with squat has been my most strugglesome lift over time. I have had a strugglesome squat the entire time I've been powerlifting. If you can believe it, I did my first competition in 2017. My next competition, 2026. That's almost a decade. Almost a decade of continuing to squat in powerlifting competitions when I'm not built for squat, when I have not made that much progress in my squat, being honest with myself. My first powerlifting competition, I was squatting 192 pounds, and at my last competition, I was squatting 259 pounds. Why do I continue to squat over and over and over again if I'm not getting to a point where I'm even a good squatter? I don't know. It's because I'm following a program and I'm chasing changes year after year after year. Even if I go through pregnancy and I'm squatting with a huge pregnant belly, even if I'm changing my positioning slightly, for some reason I find enjoyment and excitement in that. And it's gotten more natural and it's felt better over time. And I'm just gonna keep getting better, because even if I'm getting a little bit better year after year, it's better than me just giving up and saying I'm never gonna be good, and then I'm gonna go way down and I'm not gonna be able to squat anything. So for me, it's that tiny little progress is worth it to me. And then for bench, what I'm working on is, before pregnancy, I had a very, very insane arch. My touch point was on my stomach. During pregnancy, I was obviously like, I'm not going to bench onto my stomach because I have a baby in there. So I changed my touch point very, very high onto my chest. But it started to get to a point where I was getting way too high up on my chest. And then when I was pushing it back, it was kind of like dumping into my shoulders. So I slightly moved my bar path down. And so now I have more of a diagonal motion, which is in line with when I had my stomach touch point. But I'm still not doing a crazy arch. I'm doing a moderate arch so that I can just tuck my shoulder blades and then make sure my elbow positioning is natural, that I'm getting used to that touch point that's a little bit lower on my chest, and then I can have that nice diagonal bar path. I still have a lot of work to do, but with my bench, my first competition, I was at 121 pounds. My most recent competition, I was at 165 pounds. That's not that much difference, but at the same time, it is. If I just gave up and I was like, oh well, 121 pounds, that's good enough for me. I don't need a bench a plate, but now I'm repping a plate, even though I went through pregnancy, even though I've been stuck in a bench plateau for a long time. I still find enjoyment. I don't find it boring training bench year after year after year, because I'm making those changes. If I hit a plateau, I'm finding a workaround, I'm finding a different technique, I'm finding a way to change, and I'm gonna keep pushing through. Even if I feel like I'm just hitting through, trying to go through a cement wall, even if I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, for some reason, it's enjoyable for me to just keep going, keep chasing, getting better at something that, again, I have really, really long arms, but I'm getting better year after year. So that's fun and that's exciting for me. And then on deadlift, this is what truly keeps me into powerlifting, because deadlift is the only lift that truly feels natural to me. But even if I'm looking at my 9-year progress, my first competition, I was at 303 pounds. My most recent competition, 369 pounds. So, I mean, that's a good amount of progress. I am happy with that progress, but you know, it's not insane. I mean, I know I have a lot of growth to do, and I'm gonna get to that 400-pound deadlift this next year in 2026. Not at my next meet, maybe not at the meet after, but definitely the meet after that, I will get to 400 pounds. That is what keeps me in the game in powerlifting. And I know that it would be easy for me to just give up, say, I'm not built for squat, I'm not built for bench, I'm just gonna give up, I'm gonna do deadlift only. But for some reason, finding enjoyment in the boring, keep on doing this over and over and over again, even if you're not getting the progress that someone else might be getting within a year's time, it's exciting to me, and I find enjoyment in that. And my deadlift, for me, what I'm working on the most is getting back into my mindset of, okay, let me just tune out everything around me and use aggression. And then I'm also not working on a deadlift bar right now in my training, so I am a little bit worried about how it's going to translate from the commercial gym bar to the deadlift bar, so I need to work on my slack pull a little bit too. But overall, I'm enjoying my training. Even though I might not be at my all-time strength with this next competition, I still feel like I've made a lot of progress in the small little changes that I've made over time, and I'm enjoying it. Even though training might seem boring, doing the same things over and over again, especially if you're not making the most progress because, you know, you're not the best built for powerlifting or whatever you're doing. If you're doing running, like for me, I am built for running. I am built for swimming, but I'm not doing that because I find enjoyment in doing something that I might not be the best built for, but I'm just gonna keep doing it and I'm gonna keep getting a little bit better over time, even if it takes forever. I will eventually squat 300 pounds. I will eventually bench 200 pounds. I will eventually deadlift 400 pounds, and the 400 pounds is coming very, very soon. But anyways, that's just my little ramble. I don't even know how I got to where I got to, but that's all for today's video. I will see you next week for another competition prep talk. Let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover so I don't just ramble on random things. Anyways, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.